Chipping techniques are often overcomplicated and they're quite difficult to actually make consistent if you make the job, the simple job that it is, a complicated one. So I'm going to demonstrate to you now some very basic but important techniques that will help you become more consistent around the green and actually become more reliable with that strike. So the first technique I'm going to show you is the standard neutral technique, which should be used the majority of times around the green. And then I'm going to use a slightly different specialized technique to help you understand what happens with ball speed and hinge. So the standard technique should be where the ball is fairly neutral in the stance. We see a lot of players have the ball position a long way back with a lot of shaft lean and a lot of weight going forward. That's really going to promote only one type of action, a fairly steep digging action, which requires a very precise strike. So precise is not where we want to be. We want a margin for error. So we need to get the ball position more neutral. So that's where it should be. The shaft lean is neither too far forward nor too far back. My grip is the same, relatively light, and down the grip a wee bit. And then from there, as I'm coming into strike, it's a fairly level, smooth action. And that way I can collect the ball, still use the bounce of the club, which is important, and that helps me really to get a nice bit of consistency. The technique that we often see as coaches is the one described earlier, where the ball gets too far back and the shaft lean gets too far forward, and that produces a fairly steep angle of attack. The problem with that is that the ball leaves the club face too quickly. The player sort of knows that, so they end up decelerating, and that causes an inconsistent ball speed. I'll demonstrate that one. We've got the ball position now going too far back, hands too far forward. It'll be almost this position. I've changed the loft on the club so much now that I have to change the speed. And then what happens is the player comes into impact, he's not sure of it, suddenly the ball rockets off the club face and the ball goes too far. So again, we need to be caressing the ball around the greens, making it neutral. So going back to the technique of keeping everything in a nice even pace with the ball position in the right place really will help. As the ball gets closer to the green and the flag is actually moving towards me, I've got less green to work with. It's a great technique, this one I'm going to show you, for actually getting the ball speed correct without using too much hinge. So on this one, I'm going to use the putting action. Very, very straightforward. I'm going to hold the club in exactly the same way as I would a putter. The shaft's going to be a lot more upright because of that reason. So the ball's going to be played a lot closer to me. And the club tends to sit up off the heel, a little bit on the toe. So I need to address the ball into that position. I'm not using my hands in any way, just the bigger muscles. And just allow the shoulders to rock through and see the result. So I'm over the ball, very, very similar to the putting action. Just let the club just go back and through. Nice little neutral strike, and you can get a good consistent ball speed that way.